Historically,
How is
we dealt
modern
with
technology
two-dimensional
helping
black and white images
Let's take
like
a look.
this.
Instead of black and
Now
white
using
images,
special software like this View
we've got
One
special
Image
software that
Station,
uses color.
we can plug in traditional black and white MRI scans, and we can end up with a three-dimensional, realistic-looking view that gives us a comprehensive image of the surface of the brain, so we can see whether there's atrophy of the inside components of the brain that you just demonstrated, and also the brain blood vessels in great detail. Let's take a look at what the scans show us.
And so everyone understands, what we're looking at here is the 3D MRI of Scott's actual brain.
Right. We see a high-resolution view of the entire surface. Now we see that the brain appears not to be excessively wrinkled or furrowed. That's a good sign, because when the brain looks like a prune, it's atrophied. The tissue has shrunken and melted away, possibly as a result of the injury or some other process. The brain tissue looks good. That means the structure of the brain for Scott is primarily intact, and we didn't find any hidden abnormality like a vascular malformation. We didn't find any small tumors. We didn't find the footprint of prior strokes. So that's all good. That's a good sign. When we look at the blood vessels in more detail, we can see there's no blockages. It's nice, smooth contour all the way up to the frontal lobes here. And as we look at this from every possible angle, we see that all the vessels look intact, they're filling well, they're not irregular as if they had an atherosclerotic plaque. So these are all key findings. Now, they don't tell us exactly what the fundamental problem is. We're still left with this abnormal SPECT scan that suggests that it's not the larger visible structures that are affected. It's something happening on a microscopic level. It's either the connections between neurons or the fact that critical neurons have dropped out of the circuitry and are not functioning normally at this point.
So Scott, this is reassuring, because at least on a global level, your brain looks good on the 3D MRI. So where do we stand right now with Scott?
So where
My
do we
suspicion
stand right
is
now? Let's see.
that although that particular injury was not profound, the accumulated effect of multiple smaller head injuries. You know, Scott played high-level college football. He was drafted into the NFL. He played in the NFL, and he was a lineman. So on every play, he's getting that impact. You know, we used to think that didn't cause many problems, but now we're starting to understand that as some of these football players in their 50s come down with similar problems, personality change and memory impairment, that the accumulated effect of all those injuries may have significant long-term consequences. So what can be done? What can we do? There's not any one specific therapy that's going to snap things back to normal. Right now, he's getting the best therapy he could possibly get. He's getting intense cognitive rehabilitation. And he's getting it from the person who cares and loves him the most, Joan. We talked a little bit about hyperbaric oxygen, breathing oxygen at an increased pressure to really drive oxygen into the brain cells. We've been a little bit disappointed with the results in traumatic brain injury and stroke, but it's probably worth trying.
Okay.
And, you know, at the extreme frontier of science, people are now inserting electrodes in the brain in centers that can stimulate the activity, restore probably the function in the frontal lobes a bit, as we can see that that's low from the blood flow pattern on the SPECT scan, and driving up the activity of all the brain cells can make them more responsive to memory retrieval and the consolidation and acquisition of new memories. And the other thing that can be helpful there are certain medications, particularly a specific type of antidepressants. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error, but I remain very optimistic. And with Joan by your side, I think that the chances for you in the future are great.
Increasing overall cell activity stimulation may help more blood flow.
Thank you both so much for being here, Dr. Martin.
Determination.
Thank you for being
Science is on his case, trying to help him the best they can. Maybe there'll be
Scott and
great
Joan have written a brand new book about their story. It's called My Life Deleted. It's in stores now, but you can read an excerpt by going to our website at thedoctorstv.com. Stay